I've been working far too hard for far too long, and now something's gotta give. Yeah, my mind, it just worries of things I can't control. This ain't no way to live. If I could just slow it down, take my time, well, I know somehow I'd surely find that wonderful life I live inside my mind. Yeah, it's a simple life made for me. Everything is how it should be. Well, it's a wonderful life, the life of my dreams. I wanna find my simple life. I slowed down and I looked around. Well, what do you think I found? Yeah, my bills get paid. I got this roof over my head. It don't look so bad now. And I've got the two cutest dogs you ever did see. Tons of friends, a wonderful family. I wonder why it took so long to see. I live a simple life, it's made for me. Everything is how it should be. Well, it's a wonderful life, the life of my dreams. Looks like I found my simple life. Oh yeah, well, life's too short to think you don't have all you need. I live a simple life, it's made for me. Looks like I am right where I need to be. And to top it all off, well, I'm living my dream. Good God, I love, I can't get enough of. No, no, yes, I love my life. Oh, yes, I do. My simple life. Yeah, you know, life is good. All is well. I am truly blessed.
Melissa, thank you for being here. Lou, let's give them both a hand again. I see you have product, so we can take you home if we choose. So visit the table and see what she has brought to sell. Good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see you here this morning. Thank you, as always, for choosing church. I know there's lots of choices that can be made, and the people who choose to be here choose this, and I'm grateful for that. So let's start our service today by turning within and opening in prayer. Absolutely knowing that right here, right now, the power of love and wisdom and right action abound. They are in us, they are through us, because that power and presence is us. Each one of us is a divine expression having life right now because the infinite has chosen to experience itself as you. It has come to this time and this moment to grow and evolve in peace and love and wisdom, compassion and understanding. It has come to be you, to have your family, to have your unique talents and gifts. It has come to experience the life that you experience as relationship, as employment, as community, as family. When we understand that truly the higher power is in us, through us, as us, because it is us, we begin to move into a place of peace and acceptance. We begin to practice surrender to the highest idea. So from that highest idea, we bless our time together this morning. We recognize that every house of worship is a way unto the one, and that many find different ways in order to experience that one life, that one power, that one peace. This is our way. And we give thanks for this spiritual community. We give thanks for this morning, the opportunity to be together. We give thanks for each one of you, knowing that this is a divine idea that lives in the mind of God. That divine idea is that we would accept uniqueness and diversity and multiplicity. The idea is that we would not all be the same, but 7.2 billion times whole, perfect, and complete as itself. So grateful to know that God created us out of itself, and that today is a day to celebrate and give thanks in. Thank you for our time together. Thank you for each one of you choosing church. And so it is. Amen. I'm on my mark. Grateful to see all of you. I thought it was really cute. My mother texted me this morning that she was going to watch me on TV and not come to church. Not on TV. The last time I had a meal with her, I spent the entire time trying to unlock her Facebook account and her email account. I was successful. I was so proud of myself. So that she doesn't quite have, and teaching her how to text, too, that she could change her text. So when I first looked at that, I thought she didn't correct her text. And then I realized at 88, she doesn't really know the difference yet. And I don't think she has a smart TV, but, what can we say? So we are live streaming. Good morning, live streamers. And the whole service today this is an experiment, and everything is an experiment. Life is an experiment, right? It's a dress rehearsal, the real thing. So I'm grateful to see you. Thank you for choosing church. Our tables are up in the back. I see that we have our community outreach is gathering things for the homeless. I see that our information table is up. If you're a first-time visitor and you would like some more information about us, it's back on the back table. Did Gourmet for Gods arrive? Okay. So we do have a project we're launching right now, which is our Gourmet for God. Those are opportunities for us to come together and contribute to our spiritual community. So we have 6 offerings out where you can go to dinner at somebody's house. You can go to an afternoon tea party and have your fortune read. You can come to my house for a Christmas party in December. You can go kayaking. I've missed a couple, but they're all on the back table. If you want to sign up, they say how many people they're going to take. So I think a couple of offerings have maybe already filled. Like Madame Valeria could only take 8 people. And so the 8 people signed up, and then that offering comes off. And I believe we had one dinner party that would only handle 10 people. So if the 10 people signed up for that, that has already come off. So the things that are out there should be the ones that are still open. If you decide that you want to go to that event, it will tell you how much you're donating to the church. And there's an envelope on the back of the sign up. So you put your name and your address, your contact information, and then you put your money back in the back. And then most of the people who are presenting will remember to give you a call and remind you that you've signed up and that this is an event that you're attending. Last year we were very successful. We had a good time going to different activities with people, and we raised a nice little piece of money for the church. So it's a fundraiser. Sign up in the back. Our bulletin board is up. If you have something you need to post, please do. If you're looking for something, please look there. I see our book table is up as well. We have New Thought and Religious Science books at our book table and invite you to check it out and purchase that. We also have the prayer table is up. Our practitioners are in the room. If you're a practitioner, would you please raise your hand? These are the people who love to pray. If you're in need of prayer, grab hold of one of those people and ask if they would pray with you today. And they will take you across the hall to a quiet room and just go right to prayer with you. If that's like scary or intimidating or you're not really sure how that works and you would just like to turn in a prayer request, our prayer table is up. Our prayer chest is there. You can turn in a prayer request. The practitioners meet after the service and pray on those requests, and then those requests go out to each practitioner. We have about 10 practitioners in this church, and we all come together, as well as a couple of ministers. One of our ministers moved away, but she still likes to be a part of our prayer group, so she is praying with us from Colorado because she just loved the energy of what we do with prayer. We hold those in the highest confidentiality, so we want you to feel safe that nobody's talking about whatever your issue is, but it's an invitation for us to step into that higher power and join with you for a greater good. Let's see, did I miss anything? Is anything? Say it again. Yes, I did forget something. Thank you. Anniversary, I didn't even hear you the first time. Anniversary luncheon. So on August 2nd, right after church, we are having a catered lunch for everybody who would like to stay. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary. So the board, yeah. The Board of Trustees continues to remind me, this is a big deal. We had an event on our first anniversary. That was a big deal, and we made a decision at that point that we would do a big event again. And by big event, we're just having caterers come in and provide lunch for us here. Want it to be convenient, want as many of us to participate. There's no sign up. You're just welcome to join us in honoring and celebrating that we have been a spiritual community for the past 10 years here in Orange County. Very grateful to be a part of that. All right, did I forget anything else? Okay, let's welcome Diana, who's our practitioner in service this morning.
Good morning. Reverend Paula is talking about accepting the greater good this morning. So I always think about her talk titles and contemplate them a little bit, and it just seemed to me that the thing that stands in my way of the greater good are just ideas. And I have an example of that. I have very dear friends that are Southern Baptists. They've been friends from when I was a child. And they had misgivings when I chose religious science as my faith a long time ago. Well, we are very good friends, but there's just been that little idea, I guess I got, that there was some separation between us because of this difference in our faiths. Well, they emailed me not long ago that they were going on a mission trip, and they were going with the evangelist Michael Gott. And I don't know if you know who Michael Gott is. I can see Reverend Paula knows. He is, and Elaine, he is a wonderful musician, extraordinary musician that I've seen at a Silomar. But he's also an ordained religious science minister. So this old idea I have that there's a division between Christianity and religious science came into question. So I grappled with this, and I couldn't figure out how this could have happened. But then I guess just by grace, I thought, this is wonderful. I don't need to know how it happened, that it was such a healing for that sense of separation that really was just my own sense of separation. So Michael Gott wrote the daily guides for the April Science of Mind magazine, and I chose one of those to share with you this morning that has a lot to do with choosing the greater good. He writes, in the Hebrew Bible, there is a story of Jacob and an amazing dream he had. Jacob saw a giant staircase extending from heaven to earth. Hosts of angels were moving up and down while God stood at the top, proclaiming a blessing. He awoke and knew that this was no ordinary dream. His life was changed. He named the place Bethel, meaning the house of God. Does this ancient story hold anything for us today? I believe it does. He asks, what is the circumstance or condition in your life that you feel like God is not present? Is there some area of concern or a problem where we are behaving as though it were all up to us to figure out and manage and solve? This story reminds us that though it may not look like it, divine reality is present in this situation too. We might not see how Spirit will reveal good here, but our work is to know that it will. We pray the prayer of faith, saying, God is here. This is the very gate of heaven for me. Are you willing to release your version of the story and accept a higher perspective? From the top of Jacob's ladder, God sees our life and knows only good and more good. Let's just take a moment and go into the silence. I surrender to a greater good in the challenges of my life. I trust that everything is moving on my behalf to reveal more wholeness, more freedom. Next steps, divine intuition, clarity, and wisdom are mine. And so it is.
Well, I'm standing in the place I started from, in the room I spent my life escaping from, with a painted dresser and a single bed, the curtains hanging like a high school prom dress. Well, I know I'm not the kid I used to be. Still, I wonder how I came so far from me. I didn't know that I was growing up, till I looked back and then the door was shut. But that's how it goes when you're fighting for survival. Yeah, I guess that's how it is when you're destined for something good. But we kill ourselves. We try to build ourselves into someone with something more, when the truth is we were fine before. Well, we grow up with a plan of what's gonna be, and then we slowly come to terms with reality. Yeah, we get angry or we just grow numb. We spend our 30s getting back to one, but that's how it goes when you're fighting for survival. Yeah, I guess that's how it is when you're destined for something good. But we kill ourselves. We try to build ourselves into someone with something more, when the truth is we were fine before. No, I won't let these tears fears of mine fall and forget where they go. With every year that passes by, well, I'll come further into my own. But we break ourselves, we deface ourselves into someone with something more. When the truth is we were fine before.
And so the idea of not fine to the idea of fine, or the idea of separation to the idea of it's all one, it is truly just an idea. And why we didn't think we were fine before was because we didn't know. Made in the image and likeness. That power and presence is within us. It's amazing to see someone who just gets that idea for the very first time. Oh, and because I've been here so long, I think I'm supposed to come up with something else to tell you, when really knowing your oneness and your divinity is such a powerful, powerful truth. So I have a house guest for 2 weeks, a really good friend, because somebody said to me, you'd have to be a really good friend to go stay for 2 weeks. My good friend is also a minister, and he is doing an NLP licensing training, and he gets home every evening at 8:30. So yesterday when he got home at 8:30, then he was running to his church to do church this morning, then he was going back to do his training down here, and then he'd be back tonight at 8:30. And so last night he says to me, will you find me a couple of jokes, because I always tell jokes to start my service. And he's a religious science minister. I don't always tell jokes to start my service. However, I just can't let these two go. So there was a fundamentalist couple who heard about some dog breeders who bred religious dogs. They bred Christian dogs. And so these fundamentalists wanted to have one of those Christian dogs. So they went and got to see what this dog actually could do. And so on the command to find the Bible, the dog took off and he came back with a Bible. And they were impressed. And so then when the trainer said, find the 23rd Psalm, the dog opened the Bible and got to the 23rd Psalm. They were so impressed they bought the dog and they took him home. That night they had friends over to show off their dog. And so he did all of his tricks, his fundamental tricks. And at the end, the couple said, but does he know any regular dog tricks? You know, does he have regular dog manners? And so the couple said, well, we didn't even think to ask. Well, let's just see. So they said, Sparky, heel. And Sparky immediately put his paws up on the man's shoulders, took one paw and put it on his forehead and bowed his head. I got another one. Okay, let's see. The other one, so there's an elderly lady and she goes to church. And she spends the evening at church and she gets home, and when she gets home, there's a burglar. And he is taking all of her finery. She says, stop. Acts 2:38. And he freezes. She goes over calmly. Now, Acts 2:38 actually is turn from your sin. So she goes, he's frozen. So she goes and calls the police. The police come to the house. When the policeman is handcuffing him, he says, why did you just freeze? She's just reading scripture to you. He said, "Are you kidding?" She said she had an axe and 2/38. So those are my religious jokes for this morning. I did find a site that was wonderful, and my friend, when he took off this morning for his church, said, "Oh my God, I had no idea there's all this online." Of course, I know there's everything online, and I live my life online, and I gather a lot of my lesson material online. It's so amazing that there's so much instant information out there for you, and that you can actually see people do their presentations and share their lessons with you is so amazing. I love YouTube. I love TED Talks. I love researching, whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's going to another minister's church to see live streaming, because when we're empty, we don't have anything to give. When we're full, we have something to give. We only have to give what we have within us. Now, in this teaching, we believe that what's in us is the infinite, invisible source that created everything out of itself. But infinite, invisible is a key part of that, which means it's not really something that you could put your hands on or measure. So if you say, "I want an apple and I love you and care about you and I want to give you an apple," if I don't have an apple, I can't give you an apple. If I don't have kindness for myself, I have a challenge giving kindness to another person. If I haven't practiced forgiveness with my own shortcomings, then I have a challenge before me of being critical and being judgmental about other people's behavior. Really, all the work that ever needs to be done for any of us is within us. It's the lesson to know ourselves. It's the lesson to understand ourselves. It's the lesson to be at peace with ourselves. So Diana pointed out that last Sunday I gave 1 point of 3 from Lou Holst, who was the coach of Notre Dame, and he has done a number of commencement ceremonies around over the years, and he has a very powerful lesson. So if you're interested in Lou Holst, go and just Google that, and all of his YouTube and his clips will come up, and you can see him for yourself. You can see him talking on many different subjects. However, the one I liked had 3 points that he said if he was a kid and he had known these things and had done his life from this perspective, it would have really been different. The first is to do what's right. And Ernest Holmes says you don't need anybody to tell you what is right. Everybody already knows. Now, that doesn't have to be a spiritual truth. That is a basic human being. We know when we miss the mark. We know when we're disrespectful. We know when we're not fair to ourselves. We know when we allow people to denigrate us. We know when we need to stand up for ourselves. But part of our journey is to understand when to hold them and when to fold them. Long time ago, I saw a minister do a lesson on that song, when to hold them and when to fold them, and it really is kind of the order of the day. What do I have control of? What don't I have control of? What's mine to do? Some of the people that have worked with me, I charge them with, what's yours to do? And so when you start asking yourself that question, what's mine to do? Then sometimes what's mine to do, I went through the school of ministry with my mouth closed because what was mine to do was to shut up. Now, I'd gone through every other coursework talking, because I always know the answers. And so I'd be the first person to raise I know the answer. And I want to sit in the front of the classroom because I know the answer. And I want to be the teacher's pet. And I asked, what's mine to do? And what I heard is, be quiet and listen. So you know what to do. So the first point is do what's right. The second is to always do your best in the time allotted, to always give every project your best. Now, chop wood, carry water was one of the lessons we did not too long ago, and that's that before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. And after enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. You just do it differently. You just do it with an attitude that cleaning the toilet is a sacred spiritual practice. Cleaning the dishes is a sacred spiritual practice. I'm responsible for my attitude, and so whatever it is that I show up to do I do it? And I've got a friend who doesn't think that everybody knows everything about everyone else. And I continue to try to remind her, if you're mad at someone, they know it. If you're at peace with someone, they know it. If you're in love with someone, they know it. We know what the energy is for other people. So if you're not doing your best, if you're doing, and I jokingly say that whenever my children didn't want to be asked to do something again, they did it terribly. And that way, they wouldn't get asked to do it again. So one time I'm watching my brother-in-law hack at a cheese ball. And my mom says to him, "You're destroying that cheese ball. I know your mother taught you to do that differently." He said, "Yeah, but she'll never ask me to do this again." So when we go out in the world and we have that resentful attitude about the things that we're asked to do, there's one way to look at it, and that's to say, "You're asking me to do it." There's another way to do it, and that's to step in. There's only one power and one presence here. There's only one idea and one love here. And whatever it is that you're being asked to do, you can say it's a person, but the truth with a capital T is it's the Spirit. It's that higher power. It has an idea for you, the life that you have, and it's asking you to do the things that are in front of you to do to grow and evolve you for your blessings. And the third point is show people you care. Show people you care. Now, that's sort of a vulnerable place to be, that it matters to me. That's a little bit of an invested place to be. You matter to me. I care. I graduated from UC Irvine, and I was 5 months pregnant with my third child. I had gotten all A's, because I like to overachieve. And so I went in and I started a mantra in the last week of school that I started saying, "I don't care. I don't care. I just want out of here. I don't care." I did damage to those grades in 1 week's time with the attitude, "I don't care." And I could hear it in my saying about the thing I was being, "I don't care. This doesn't matter to me. I don't care." I hadn't found my way to church yet. It took me another 18 months before I walked into the doors of a spiritual community that began to talk about what does it mean to care? What does it mean to be invested in your life and invested in the people that are in your life and to let them know that they matter to you? So Lou Holtz said if he had known those three things before he took Notre Dame to the top football team for 9 straight years, it would have made his life different. Because when he took his team to the top, he stopped wanting anything more, and he became passive, and he became holding, trying to keep what he had instead of moving into the flow of life. So that was last Sunday's lesson. Thank you for coming back. This Sunday's lesson is accepting the greater good, and there's so much literature out there right now about stress that I was thinking the people who really wrote a lot about stress up until very recently. Kelly McGonigal is the leading thinker on stress and its effect of people. She's a professor at a university. She's also somebody you can pick up online if you want to see her deliver a lesson. She taught for 10 years that stress is going to kill you, that everybody has to figure out how to get away from stress. Stress is the worst thing in the world. And now research is coming in that shows that when 2 people have been in a tragic experience, the person who suffers PTSD after, that's post-traumatic stress disorder, 2 months after the accident, has lower stress hormones in their body. The person who has a higher recovery, so the person who has PTSD does not want to drive their car if it was a car accident. They're afraid to leave the house. They begin to accelerate their fear and their paranoia. However, they don't have the chemicals of stress running rampant in their bodies. The people that have higher stress hormones in their body recover better. So that took all of science into this question about what's the difference? It's an idea. It's just an idea. The people who recover think stress is a natural, normal part of having had something scary happen to you. And the people who have more challenges with recovery from that think stress is bad. Actually, today they can take a look at your arteries and they can tell that if you think stress is good for you, your arteries stay open and you're pumping blood and oxygen all through your body. If you think stress is bad for you, you constrict your arteries, which decreases your blood flow, decreases your oxygen in your body, and actually isn't good for you. So if we're going to say stress is good for you because it's a natural, healthy response, it's going to kind of take us to look at everything that happens to us. So accepting the greater good might be the invitation that you find the silver linings of every single thing that happens. That no matter what it is that's before you, no matter what challenge you face, instead of looking at it like that's the enemy, that's the thing that needs to be eradicated, that's the thing that keeps me from my God, my good, that's the problem in my life. That thinking, what if that thinking actually coagulates that thing into a reality and you just are fueling it with the energy in your being to make it a real thing for you? What if it came to bless you? That very thing came to bless you. What would that look like for you? So if you have a stiff neck and you end up at the fair and you let one of your grandchildren talk you onto going onto one of those crazy rides, maybe it adjusts your neck. If you slip and go down, maybe you're supposed to pay attention. Maybe those shoes aren't the right shoes. What is the silver lining in every single thing that happens? And only you can answer that question for yourself. So I followed a couple of people. One of the people that I like a lot was Neil Parisha, who actually had the #1 blog award, which he talks about as if he has no idea how that actually happened. A young man, a lot of good things had happened to him, and as long as life was good, he thought that life is good and I can do it. When life got bad, when his wife told him she didn't love him anymore, when his best friend took his life in the same year, he got so depressed and despondent. He started to think, how am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do? What's going to make this different? So he started a blog that was 1,000 awesome things. And what he says 1,000 awesome things are a sunny day. It's an awesome thing, whatever you had for breakfast this morning. It's an awesome thing that you have shoes on your feet. It's an awesome thing that you got your green chairs back. It's an awesome, begin to, what is awesome? What is awesome? What is awesome? And so at first, his mom was the only person who was reading his blog, and then he got 100% jump in attendance when his mom shared the blog with his dad, 100% increase. Then he was excited when he had tens of people seeing his blog. And then eventually he wrote a book, a national bestseller, called 1,000 Awesome Things. He says there are 3 things that everyone needs in order to have an awesome life. So he calls them the 3 A's of awesome. And the first one is attitude. Your attitude. Now, I talked a little bit about that before. People know. Life has a tendency to squeeze us. I talked last Sunday about immature spiritual people think that if I love God, God's going to give me everything I want. And so I'm going to begin to pray, and I'm going to pray for a nice life, and I will believe as long as I get the goods out of life. If I get the right partner, and I get the right car, and I get the right job, and I get the right income, and I grow younger in my body, well, then I'm willing to believe in God. But if I have a mature relationship with God, my mature relationship with God is the idea that anything that comes to me, I can handle. anything that comes to me, I can handle. I've been divorced twice while I was the minister. So hard to do. So hard to stand up and say, oh, gee, another one bites the dust. You know, I began to realize it's not that I'm leaving my significant other. The first one was of 25 years with 3 children. And it wasn't that, it was how I handled that. That was a crummy experience. That was a messy experience. That was in the middle of a large church that had 3 children involved in it. You know, the other one wasn't all that much better either. It didn't have all those ramifications, but it was another. In the center of my being, I felt like, I missed the mark. This shouldn't have happened. Instead of, hey, I get up every morning and go to church and do the lesson. I get up every morning and do the prayer on Facebook. I get up and I give thanks and I think, okay, I'm still here. Go at it again. We're resilient. Human beings are so amazingly resilient, and most of us don't pat ourselves on the back for getting up and going at it again and again. Not like you have any choice. You're here, so you can get up and say, oh my God, the day starts with morning. Ugh, I hate it. Or you can get up and say, woohoo, a brand new baby day. What am I going to make out of it? What are me and the highest idea in me about for today? I like that, and who is it? Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer says, if you squeeze an orange, out comes orange juice. If you squeeze a lemon, out comes lemon juice. Life squeezes you. That's just part of life. What's in you? And most of us will notice that when we're on the mark, what's in us is compassion and understanding. And when we're frustrated or irritated or off the mark, what comes out of us is resentment and anger. So our course correct, our attitude is, who did that serve, resentment and anger? It didn't serve anybody. It might have served in the capacity of getting you a little more space because all the people you love and care about cleared the way. If I say I'm cranky, you should watch the C part. People just can't get away from me fast enough, and all I have to do is say, I'm cranky. And everybody's like, whoa, sorry. My kids will hang up. Bye, Mom. It's a good way. So was the silver lining in that I needed space? Maybe. Maybe to be with oneself when one is not on the mark isn't really anybody else's business. Maybe we're not always supposed to be out there doing, fixing, fussing, whatever it is that we do, our attitude. So if you try to hide your attitude, I don't think it works very well. People usually know. And most of us know about each other. You have a great attitude if everything's working well for you. If God is that immature, making all the things, giving you ready-teller consciousness. It's a little harder when it's hard work to do something, when we don't understand, when we are pushed. But life pushes everybody. And in order for us to have compassion for each other, we need to start with compassion for ourselves when we miss the mark. The second thing that you have to have is awareness. Now, awareness is one of those things for all of us. Awareness may be that you're hungry or tired or cranky. Awareness that maybe you have feelings that are moving in you in a way that need you to attend to them. Awareness to your surroundings. I raised my children from Children the Challenge by Rudolph Dreikers, and he continued to say over and over again, what are the needs of the situation? Instead of what do you want to do, what do you feel like doing, what does that person feel like doing, it was constantly asking, what are the needs of the situation? You know, clock hits 12, the needs of the situation are that I go in the kitchen and make lunch, whether I feel like doing that or not. The needs of the situation might be that I do laundry. The needs of the situation might be that I clean the toilet. But can I do that spiritually? Can I do that as if it's a divine calling? Or do I do that like, I have to do that again? My son wanted to be an architect, and he didn't like to take out the trash. So in his bedroom, the trash continued to grow. I think it could have been a museum piece over a period of time. And so at one point, I had to have the conversation with him. You could be a totally great architect. You could be the best architect in the world. And if in the corner of your office was a trash can, and you threw a banana peel in there, and you threw a yogurt carton in there, and you threw some trash in there, and you threw a Coke can in there, and you didn't take it out because you didn't like to. You wanted to do what you like to do, which is draw pictures of buildings, but you didn't like taking out the trash. Would people continue to come to you if the trash in the corner of your room never got taken out and it smelled bad? You had to say, no, I get it, Mom. I'll go get the trash out. I get it. Where do you get these lessons, Mom? Is what he would say to me. But it made me look at, too, what are the things I don't like to do? And does my not liking doing something make me not have to do it? No. Actually, there are just a certain amount of things in life that are there that need to be done. And so do we go at it with that spiritual understanding that God created everything out of itself? So whatever it is that you're asked to do is a spiritual call. It doesn't have to look like ending world hunger or leading a spiritual community. It's what's on your plate that higher power is asking you to do. And we all know what it is that's before us to do, that our attitude isn't quite in alignment with the highest idea. I love personally the idea that I go with God. When I feel lack and limitation, I begin to imagine that I believe in a God that is infinite. And that infinite is with me. And that infinite has created me out of itself. And that infinite has enough energy to do whatever is in front of me. And that infinite energy begins to manifest and move through me, and I'm shocked at the energy that I have to do the tasks that I'm doing. But it's not until that idea of accepting what I'm asking to do, because there's a greater good in this very thing. What is the good? In Jacob's story, he does not let go of the angel until he gets the blessing. Metaphysically, we say the lesson about that is whatever it is that is in your life that's challenging you, don't let go of it till you get the silver lining. Don't let go of it until you know how it came to bless you. Everything is conspiring for you to live in peace and wisdom and understanding of your greater good. If you don't see how it's working towards that end, it isn't going to go away. It isn't going to go away. It's going to stay there and nag you until you get it. When you get the gift, you will often feel like you were freed from whatever that thing was, but that isn't what happened. You learned the lesson. You were ready to go on to the next opportunity. So the third thing that he says is that you need to be authentic. And he used the story of Rosie Greer and needle pointing. That was a 300-pound linebacker who liked to needle point, and he said it was a good way to pick up chicks. He wrote a book called Needle Pointing for Men. And on the cover of the page of his book, he's needle pointing his own face. If you look closely at his book, he's stitching his own face. What is it that you have been called to do? What is it that you are uniquely blessed at? If God so loved the world that it created out of itself 7.2 billion expressions of itself uniquely, any one of us have the same fingerprints. Uniquely. It endowed each one of us with a quality of itself. And that quality of itself requires you to consciously participate with it to bring that forward. So if you're saying, everybody needs to eat, it shocked me. I actually counted how many meals I had cooked in 25 years. And I actually gathered information about how do you know if they like it or not. And one of my friends said, if they're quiet. And I was the exact opposite. My children would come to the table. What I had spent 2 hours preparing, they took 15 minutes to devour, and then they didn't talk, and then they left, and there was just bones and dishes and weird things left behind. And I sort of got this attitude, what was that for? I worked so hard on it. And they still have this because they're fast food queens and kings, and they get whatever they want. They still come to my house and say, how many hours did you spend chopping the vegetables, Mom? And at one point, they gave me all the different things to chop, and I realized that if you have all those appliances, you spend your time cleaning the appliance. It only took you a second to chop, but then you're cleaning the appliance. I'd rather spend my time chopping the vegetables, and all I have is a knife to clean from it. So I indeed am in there chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping. But again, if I take my attitude to that, do I do it with love or do I do it with resentment? When I take my attitude there, do I accept that God has endowed me with that? I told my son at one of my divorces, I'm not going to cook for you anymore. He said, well, that's okay with me, Mom, as long as I don't starve. It only took me about a month to realize, oh, I like to cook. I've spent 25 years thinking this was a demand response, and I missed that there was a part in me that loved that experience. And when that part of me awakened, loving the experience, food tasted different. It tasted different. I had a different relationship to what I was putting in and what I was following. So the other day, I put apples in the cold soup, and it was asparagus soup. Now, I didn't ever read a recipe that said, it was delicious. Who would have thought? Cold asparagus soup with apples in it. But as I was working, it said, see that apple? Just put that. Okay, I follow. Now, if we don't follow, God's frustrated with us, and that sounds like our lives aren't working. God's frustrated because God's wanting to guide, the higher powers wanting to guide us. The higher powers wanting to show us the blessing that we are. The higher powers wanting us each to know that we are awesome. And that whatever our authentic gifts are, they're opportunities for us to live in alignment with that and be empowered by it and connect so that the attitude that we go out in the world is truly a blessing. Life is happening whether we accept it or not. We believe in this teaching that God is a greater good than anything you've ever experienced. If there's an area in your life where you're not experiencing the greater good, practice acceptance. Practice being with that issue, knowing there is a gift embedded in it because God didn't give any one of us anything less than the greatness of itself. Thank you for choosing church. So we take this moment and turn within, dropping into center. That's consciously taking our attention into the center of our being and breathing into that center and breathing in peace and breathing in love and breathing in vitality. We have the ability to harmonize our body temple, for it is the place of the Most High. In the center of our being is the altar onto which each of us can go in gratitude for the life we have been given, for the family that we have been given, for the talents that we have been given, for the unique perspective that each one of us has been given, for the opportunity to go forth in life and know that we go with the higher power. We go with love when we say, yes, I am made in the image and likeness of the divine. I am on purpose in every aspect of my life. I let go of the lack and limitation that defined me as small, sinful being. I let it go. I step into the idea that creating out of itself, the blessing is here for me to find. I know for each one of you that right where you are, a spark of the wholeness and divinity of the oneness of all of life is speaking gently and lovingly to you. Don't you know who you are? It's asking you to step up and to step in to a life of purpose, a life of gifting, a life of faith. Grateful are we to be together this morning in this house of worship, knowing that for us, this path reminds us of who we are and makes a difference in how we go out and do our lives through the week. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
There's a bluebird sitting on the telephone wire, just bouncing on the breeze, watching cars rush by. Not at all worried, just hanging on tight. So baby, why can't I? There are palm trees sticking up like lollipops, soaking up the heat, letting coconuts drop. Not a care in the world, just living on top. So baby, why can't I? Somebody finds a golden ticket in a chocolate bar. Someone strikes oil in the dirt. Hey, the prize in the cereal box, the winning bottle top. So many ways it could work. There's a flat in Manhattan with a bayside view. Sun on the horizon up in Malibu. A little change in my pocket going ring-a-ding-a-doo. Oh baby, why can't I? Well, there ain't nothing that ain't in the cards as long as my chips are all in. Hey, with all the possibilities, strictly statistically, someday I'm bound to win. Then I live in a wonder, looking down from the top. My heart wide open, no way I'm gonna stop. 'Cause it makes me happy, expecting a lot. So baby, why can't I? There ain't nothing that ain't in the cards as long as my chips are all in. Hey, with all the possibilities, strictly statistically, someday I'm bound to win. Then I'll live in a wonder, looking down from the top. My heart wide open, no way I'm gonna stop. 'Cause it makes me happy, expecting a lot. So baby, yeah baby, why can't I?
Lou and Melissa, thank you very much. I have my fingers crossed to remind you that the camera will not be here next week, and neither will I. They let me out every once in a while, and so Sunshine Day will be your speaker, and she's back by popular demand. We love her. We have a couple of other guest speakers coming. We do have Reverend Mark Anthony Lord is coming back again by popular demand. So he will be here. Oh, and we also have Dennis Merritt Jones. So Dennis Merritt Jones writes in the Science of Mind magazine. So he will be here in August. I have an all-expense paid trip to Las Vegas to perform a wedding. So that was very fun. And it's Saturday night, so I couldn't be back Sunday morning. So that's in August. But next Sunday is Sunshine Day. So be sure to bring your friends. She is wonderful, and you have all told me how much you love and appreciate her. It's time for us to share our gifts and tithes. And at this part of the service, our ushers take their places, and we move into that place. You know, in our culture, when it comes to money, many of us move into the place where we constrict. We move into the place where we tap into those ideas of not enough. We move into the place, taxing and tithing were once one when church and state was one. And so many of us draw up that energy about taxing when it comes to tithing. Only church and state are no longer one. Your gifts and contributions support this spiritual community. We tithe out into the community 10% of everything that we collect. Your gifts are given to you to give through you. So I invite you to step into a consciousness that's open. And notice if your heart doors slam shut about giving. Notice if you go into that place of not enough. And just invite yourself when you go out into the week to stay in that place that is breathing through the experience and knowing that you are the gift, that you have come to share that gift, that the attitude that you have about your money manifests in that flow. And so if it's constricted, there's probably something going on in here that's constricting that. And if it's open, there's something going on in here that's open to that flow. I invite you to be open. Take your gift, hold it against your heart space. Most of us know the affirmation. Let's say it together. Joyfully I give with an attitude of abundance, for I know that as I give, I do receive. With an open heart and an open mind, I pour forth my blessings. As I bless the giving and the receiving, I know that I am blessed. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed.
So we hold up our hands to send forth the blessing through our hand chakras. We open our hearts and ignite those hand chakras to know that to give and to receive is truly participating in the wholeness of the Spirit of Divinity. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to share our gifts, and so it is. Amen. Diana?
I have the affirmation, if you'll repeat after me. I know love as the reality of every situation in my life. And so it is.
So it is. Please stand and join hands for the peace song.